A magical sphere gives its owners the ability to discover another dimension filled with grim creatures and amazing bird's-eye views. In this world, no one gets old and everyone can fly, but why everyone wants to get out as soon as possible, and will the main characters manage to do it? A pirate ship boards a royal cargo ship somewhere on the Spanish America, from which a treasure chest is hoisted aboard. But the pirates' expectations are not met. Instead of gold coins and gems, it contains a single glass pearl. But suddenly the pearl begins to glow, and the face of a fairy peeks out from inside the pirates, greatly surprising everyone. Frightened, the leader of the pirates shoots at the orb and the ship disappears, leaving the magic orb floating in the air. London 200 years later. A gang of young homeless thieves, led by musician Peter, puts on a whole offers the boys a job, a serious theft of antiques from Harbotley. The boys immediately decline such an offer, unlike Peter, who immediately gambles out a plan for the heist. He reminds his friends that Jimmy saved them all, and now they have to help him and get the antiques. Listening to the boys argue, Jimmy himself realizes that he has given them too strong a task, so taking Peter aside, he says that the robbery is cancelled and he can handle everything himself. In the evening, Jimmy talks to a customer for whom he must steal antiques. The thief has one important condition. For this, he must regain his place in London society. It is past midnight. The tutor goes down to the boys' room to turn out the lights. His attention is drawn to Peter's bed, and pulling down the blanket, the man realizes that the boys have escaped. The petty thieves have ended up near Harbotley. While the friends distract the night watchman, Peter launches a rat into the museum, knowing that it will force the watchman to open the door. Everything turns out just as the gang planned, and the thieves end up inside. The boys are bagging museum valuables when Jimmy shows up. The angry mentor scolds Peter, but he lets the boys finish the job and fill the bags, and in the meantime, he himself opens the vault that holds the most valuable artifacts. But the jewels don't interest Jimmy. He heads for the chest that holds the glass orb. The tutor knocks on the pearl as if it were someone, startles the mentor, and he falls, dropping the pearl on the floor. At that moment, a flash of bright light flashes through the museum, and the entire company except for Peter disappears. The boy returns to the den, taking the mysterious orb with him and wondering how to fix the situation. There is a knock at the door. On the doorstep is a gentleman who recently came to visit Jimmy, but when he learns that the master is not at home, he leaves without answering Peter's questions. Guessing that the gentleman is connected to the pearl, Peter decides to follow him. Seeing the guest enter the house, Peter sneaks inside and sees a group of people performing a strange ritual. The boy fails to get a closer look. He is caught by Dr. Richard Flood, who spotted the boy as he approached. Peter has to tell the doctor what happened at Harbotley, and hearing about the orb, Richard gets very animated. He asks to be given the artifact, promising to use it to bring back the boy's friends and mentor. Not believing the old man, Peter runs away as soon as he learns that the orb is activated by knocking. He returns home, and a second before Flood and his assistant break in after him, the boy disappears. The boy finds himself in a strange forest, surrounded by funny twisted trees. Climbing one of them, he notices many-legged crocodiles and smoke from a campfire that might lead him to his friends. Peter hurries toward the smoke, hopping over chipped ice floes. Meanwhile, it's not Peter who comes to him, but the pirates who disappeared in the balloon 200 years ago. Peter manages to see his friends being taken to the pirate ship. Back at their camp, he decides what to do next, and to his delight, the boy finds Lisa, one of his friends, who has managed to hide safely. The boys have to postpone the meeting until later. A cloud of strange creatures is flying toward them. The friends manage to get away from the tiny fairies, but they find themselves right at the feet of a crowd of Indians. The pirate leader interrogates Jimmy, finding out what year he came from. Having learned everything she was curious about, the savage orders her tutor to be sent to the crocodiles, and she gives his pupils to the cook to make soup out of them. To protect the boys, Jimmy challenges the pirate crew, defeating its strongest members. This impresses the leader, and she leaves Jimmy, who is now called Hook. Peter and Lisa are brought to an Indian village, where they receive a warmer welcome. The chief invites them to dinner and suggests they stay in the tribe. Upon learning that the guests are about to leave in search of their friends, the Indian tells them about the magical Neverland, a world where no one grows old and is filled with various creatures, both incredibly good and evil. Jimmy also talks to the leader about Neverland. He manages to learn that there is no way back to the real world, but in the villain's opinion it is not so bad. She managed to get the Indian substance that is extracted by, but the leader is sure that she will find a way to avoid it. Now the girl's plan is to find the forest spirits and get a lot of flying pollen, but for that they will have to travel a difficult path, and she wants Hook to join them. The villainess's beauty makes Jimmy agree. Peter awakens from a dream in which he is flying over a magical forest, and fireballs fly to the forest spirits before his eyes. The chief's daughter convinces Peter to stay in the tribe and tells him that there is no way out of this world, but the boy is still going to find it after he saves his friends. The boys climb into a boat, and that's how they manage to get to another part of the forest and get close to the water. After stealing one of the boats, the friends head for the pirate ship. Peter frees the friends and transfers them to the dinghy, but he refuses to leave without Jimmy and returns to the ship. After learning that the mentor is in the captain's cabin, the boy rushes to rescue him as well, except that once he gets into the room, he realizes that Jimmy doesn't need his help. Trusting his mentor, Peter gives him the gun and immediately finds himself in the hands of pirates. Even though Jimmy comes to his aid, Peter has no intention of staying with the pirates. Breaking free of his mentor's hands, the boy jumps overboard. The friends pull their buddy into the boat, and they wait for Lisa to join them, but at that moment the boy is killed by the pirate's saber. The boys sail away, leaving Jimmy on the ship. Peter leads his friends to the Indians, realizing that punishment awaits them from the chief. Hook asks the captain to show him the way to the Indians so he can find the boys, but the villain doesn't like the fact that the buddy wants to pick the students instead of being there for her. Peter tells the chief about his dream, and it turns out that the old man sees it too. A man in a robe appears in each of the dreams, and Peter asks to be told of a place from his visions, confident that a way out can be found there. The chieftain's daughter takes Peter to the island from his dream, and the pirates notice. Hook suggests that her friend take her time and follow the couple to find out how to get to the Indian village. The couple stay overnight, and Peter plays a familiar tune on his flute, at the sound of which a tiny fairy flies to the camp. She beckons her friends after her, and the boy wakes up his girlfriend to run after the forest spirit. The friends lose track of the forest spirit as the sun rises, but a wall of woven tree trunks appears before them. Finding no passage, the young men climb up the wall and their eyes are presented with an amazing sight: an entire city woven from the branches. Once on the streets of the city, the pair do not notice a single living soul, but Peter is confident that the inhabitants will find them themselves when the time comes. But suddenly the man in the robe appears behind them, and when he was the Queen's alchemist who created the orb 300 years ago. While trying to create a philosopher's stone, the scientist found a planet at the intersection of time, and he managed to create a portal. Joining the company is Tinker Bell, a forest fairy who led the friends to the old man. After showing the guest his lab, Flood is about to send Peter home, but a call from somewhere alerts him that someone else has appeared in town. Richard meets the pirates, but seeing Jimmy among them, the old man quietly invites his friends in. He talks of bringing everyone home, but the leader refuses the offer and even intends to get rid of the scientist so that he will not be able to interfere with her plans. The pirates open fire on Flood's ghosts, but in doing so they set fire to the city the scientist has created. The old man tries to protect Peter and apprehend the villains, but the captain sends a bullet at him. Jimmy catches up with Peter at the sphere and asks him not to hurry. He promises the boy that together with the pirates they can achieve a lot. A conversation between former friends escalates into a sword fight, during which the teacher admits to Peter that he knew his mother. The pirates do capture the boy, and the chief's daughter comes to his aid. The girl knows what the captain wants to hear from her, and she is ready to tell everything. But at that moment, the captain launches a blade into Peter's heart to keep him from doing evil. The pirates return to the forest spirits. Realizing that the girl won't talk after what happened to Peter, Hook prepares his plan to find the pollen and return to London, and he lets the captain know that she can't stop him anymore. The forest spirits carry the boy's body to their lair and dump it in a spring of magical pollen. In the depths, Peter regains consciousness, and when he gets out, Tinker Bell tells him that he is now just like them. The elders of the forest fairies ask the boy for help. He must steal the orb from the pirates so they can all return home. To do this, the boy has been given magical powers. He can fly. The pirates are preparing to cross the ravine, and to raise his authority, Hook puts up a fight, becoming second in command after the captain. In his dream, Peter sees his missing friends and the chief's captured daughter. Realizing that he can wait no longer, the boy flies to the pirate ship, hoping to find the orb. Deciding that he is faced by a ghost, the old cook tells Peter that the glass orb was hidden on the shore by the captain, and only she and Hook know the exact location. The pirates move the prisoner across the bridge of the giant spider web, but Peter manages to save his friend. Leaving the girl behind, the flying guy returns upstairs to find out where the pirates have hidden the orb, but instead he is captured by a giant spider and then by the captain. The chief's daughter returns to the village and tells Peter's friends what happened. The company divides into two camps. Some think they must save their friend, while everything. Mentor promises the boy that they will go home as soon as Peter takes him to the Indians to get the rest of the boys. Peter leads Hook to a secret passageway and goes in first to alert the guards of his arrival with a pirate. But seconds later, it turns out that it was all a trap. Hook has brought an army of pirates with him. The pirates set fire to the forest, destroying the forest spirits. Realizing that they will kill everyone, Peter agrees to show them a spring of magical pollen so that the villains will leave the forest forever and leave them alone. The pirate captain dives into the water and swims the way he needs to soak up the pollen. Once out on the surface, the villain can also fly, but after a couple of seconds, she turns to gray ash. Hook is about to do away with the boy who led them on again, but the Indians show up to help Peter. The forest spirits find Peter in the woods and declare his punishment for betrayal. The boy will forget his whole life, his friends, his happiness. The only thing he will have left is the ability to fly. Tinker Bell appears. She asks the elders to stop and stands up for Peter, but it is too late. The boy's memory is erased and Tinker Bell is banished from the tribe. The fairy has no choice but to call for help. She finds the chief's daughter and leads her. The girl brings Peter back to the village, realizing something is wrong with him, but the chief no longer trusts the stranger gang, promising the pirates to take them to London. The friends rescue Peter, but he doesn't recognize anyone. Then the boys have to tie him up and Curly finds a way to wake his buddy up. He plays him a flute, and the melody brings Peter's memory back. Peter goes to the ship to follow Hook and find the orb, but the guy is caught up by Tinker Bell, who asks him not to hurry. She thinks it is necessary to let the pirates move to London, and then they will take the orb and return it to the elders. Guy hears the pirates talking about how they are going to destroy an Indian village, and he returns to the tribe to warn the chief, leaving the orb to the pirates, but the chief's daughter does not believe the traitor and he returns to the island. The Indians find Peter's friends and the boys manage to convince the chief that Peter was not lying. The tribe gathers everyone and heads for the island, where just now Hook is about to move to London to raise an entire army and take over the magical world. Hook activates the orb and prepares to transport, but Peter changes plans and pushes the men away. Meanwhile, on the ship there is a struggle between the remaining pirates and the Indians. Learning that Hook is gone, the chief signals his daughter to go with her men to find the captain on the island. The pirates take aim at Peter right in the cave, not noticing the glowing orb. Tinker Bell comes to his friend's rescue, but she gets hurt too. At last the Indians and Peter's friends appear in the cave. Everyone hurries to scatter. Putting the wounded Tinker Bell in his pocket, Peter grabs the orb and flies away, but the exit in front of him collapses and the friends realize that Buddy is left inside. Hook also remains in the cave, having lost an arm in the fight. A couple of days later, Peter appears before his friends in his new costume. The boy, with the help of the sphere, managed to visit London and stock up on gifts, but now he has returned to stay with his friends forever in a mysterious world where they will never grow up.